भेट्सको चौथो वेबिनार सेसनको स्पिकर हुनुहुन्छ डाक्टर रञ्जिता बस्तोला। हामीसँग आज प्रेजेन्टेसन सेसन रहेको छ र अन्त्यमा क्वेसन एन्सर राउन्ड हुनेछ। वेबिनारलाई सफल पार्नको लागि पार्टिसिपेन्टहरूले केही नियमहरू पालना गर्न विनम्र अनुरोध गरिन्छ। स्पिकर सेसन चलिरहँदा सम्पूर्ण पार्टिसिपेन्टले अडियो म्युट राख्नुहोला। साथै कुनै प्रश्न रहेमा ह्यान्ड रेज गर्नुहोला। होस्टले ह्यान्ड रेज देखिसकेपछि सो पार्टिसिपेन्टलाई अनम्युट गरिनेछ र हजुरले आफ्नो प्रश्न राख्न सक्नुहुनेछ। Hello and namaste. It's me Paraswar, the moderator of today's webinar entitled Urolithiasis in Dog. Our speaker for today's webinar is Dr. Ranjita Bastola. Dr. Bastola is currently working as a small animal vet at Worldwide Veterinary Service WVS. Dr. Bastola is also the former veterinarian at Sneha's Care. Her active involvement can also be seen in international organizations like IBSA, where Dr. Bastola works as exchange officer at IBSA Rampur and also a treasurer for IBSA Nepal. Before starting the webinar, I would like to request all the participants to abide themselves with some of the basic house rules. Participants are requested to keep themselves muted while the speaker session is ongoing. Participants are requested to note their question or any question in the chat box. The question will be addressed during the question answer round. Participants can raise their hand for their answer and for their question, and following them the host will unmute them. So with this, I would like to request Dr. Ranjita Bastola for our presentation. Dr. Ranjita Bastola, the floor is yours.
And thank you so much पारस for this warm welcome. मेरो प्रेजेन्टेसन चाहिँ नर्मल एउटा केस रिपोर्ट रहेको छ जुन हाम्रो डब्लुबिएस इन्डिया हिक्स आइटिसी गोवामा प्रेजेन्ट भएको थियो. That was basically urolith in a bladder. Okay, so this topic looks like a very vague topic, but it is just a case report for the stone bladder. So history of present illness. The dog was named as the dog's name is Rummy. Rummy, a 5 years old neutered female Labrador retriever weighing 37 kgs, was presented to WVS Hicks ITC clinic with a complaint of hematuria without any observable straining since 3 weeks. The deworming and vaccination schedules were up to date, and she was being given high protein diet. That was like literally commercial food, no homemade food, only commercial food. That was also once a day, and it had a very high protein diet. And this bleeding, this blood in urine had begun since 3 weeks. So the owner also reported that she drank water less often. And except this dog did not have any kind of illness or sickness. At our presentation, we just did a review of systems like general. She was bright, alert, and responsive. Skin was perfectly fine. It was non-contributory. Head, eyes, ear, neck, nose, and throat. Everything was absolutely fine. Pulmonary, no on auscultation, nothing was there, and no history of infections also. Cardiovascular non-contributory, gastrointestinal non-contributory, but in genitourinary it was hematuria throughout the whole stream. Like from beginning of the micturition to end of the micturition, there was blood in the urine. And musculoskeletal non-contributory, neurological non-contributory. Past medical history, like medical history, it had a hematuria for 3 weeks. Surgical history, the dog was spayed when it was 6 months young. And medication, monthly prophylaxis for fleas and internal parasites. That's it. Allergies, there was no non-allergy. Sibling history, we didn't know. And social history was the dog was only a pet in the household. Like there was no other animals with the dog. But it was very friendly as it was a Labrador dog. And physical examination, general appearance, obese, adult dog. Temperature, heart rate, respiration, everything was normal. And lymph nodes were also normal. So physical examination गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ normally यो कुराहरू हेर्ने गरेको छौँ हामीले. And after that, so we had only a clue of blood in urine. So after that, we suspected there is some kind of abnormality or something is wrong in the bladder. So we jumped to relevant testing. Okay. So in relevant testing, first thing what we did was we collected the naturally voided urine, and we examined for the color. Color was red, but turbidity was clear. So we decided to do dipstick results. And in dipstick results, the protein was negative, glucose was negative, bilirubin was present, specific gravity was normal, and but pH was 8. The urine was alkaline, and there was presence of leukocytes also. Okay, these two were the invaluable findings for us to move forward. Generally, pH of urine should be acidic in case of dogs, but here we are seeing the alkaline. So there is something wrong. Something is fissing inside the urinary bladder. Check for a complete blood count, and their result was unremarkable. It ruled out for anemia, platelet disorder secondary to infections like tick fever, because tick fever is very prevalent in this area. So, and any other inflammatory diseases. And also we did blood chemistry profile, basically serum biochemistry we did, and everything was normal except this ALT and 1. Okay, alanine transaminase. So, and also blood urea nitrogen, both of them were very high. Then after we moved towards radiography, we suggested them for the ultrasonography, and they did it as we wanted. So it revealed that there was thickened bladder wall with corrugations, and it had like about 2.5 centimeter big calculi. So this was the major finding for us, and this is our diagnosis also, and everything other things were normal. And then we confirmed by doing radiography, X-ray. So it revealed the presence of almost 3 centimeter big calculi. Before that, we have to do the differential diagnosis also. So my differential diagnosis were urinary bladder mass or tumor, but which ruled out from the ultrasonography. Okay, and then chronic renal disease, and this also the hematuria stopped after removal of calculi, and then the burn level came down to normal limit. After the third day of surgery, we again did blood biochemistry, and that revealed burn level as normal, within normal limits. And also liver disease, because there was increase in serum ALT, considered there could be some kind of liver damage, but also there are like many processes in the body related to the bones, inflammation of the bladder and all. So that might have caused increase in ALT concentration. Kidney and heart also secretes the ALT. So that could be related to this. But this ALT also came down after the surgery and treatment. Okay. So our diagnosis was cystic calculi or urocystosis. That means a big stone in the urinary bladder. And apart from this big stone, no smaller stones or anything else noted, appreciated in either ultrasonography or X-ray. So treatment was on the day of presentation. I gave meloxicam at the rate of 0.2 mg per kg subcut that is used if there is any inflammation or if there is any pain. And then prescribed amoxicillin potentiated with bifidobulinic acid at the rate of 15 mg per kg per orally uh, in the interval of 12 hours BID. That means for 7 days to bring down the infection of the urinary bladder, so that we can proceed for the surgery. Also advised to bring down the protein in diet and avoid commercial food, because this commercial food providing commercial food is not really good for the intestinal health of the dog, or and also in kidney health of the dog. And then we educated him and made him aware regarding the condition of the dog, and told him that it's a good to remove the calculi on the 7th day of antibiotic, because by that time this antibiotic will have taken care of the infection, and then dog will not have any kind of anesthesia risk because the dog is obese also. So we wanted to avoid any kind of anesthesia risk. So this one is cystotomy, surgical approach to remove the cystic calculi. This is the only convenient method. This was the only convenient method to remove the 3 centimeter big calculi, because that cannot be passed through the urinary tract. But if there are like small, let's say 3 mm, 4 mm, 5 mm, 10 mm, 20 mm size of stones lesser than that, then we can try flushing the bladder, or try like other diet therapy or dissolving diet therapy that can help in passing of the urine, or we can do this hydropulpation things like that. There are, but in case of this calculi, since it was a very big calculi, we could not think of other method than surgical approach. So we proceed for cystotomy. So there are like I have kept very brief information regarding anesthesia protocol, including multimodal anesthesia. Okay? So we always ask owners to keep dogs off bed for 12 hours prior to surgery, and then they brought the dog was kept about an hour for the rest, because they had brought on the car. So as soon as they bring, we cannot go and sedate the dog, they have to rest. So the dog rested for about an hour, then we sedated with xylazine butorphanol, which injected intramuscularly. So this combination is basically used just to have like more analgesic effect. So butorphanol is opioid which provides both sedation and analgesia. Also xylazine has some analgesic effect. And after 15 minutes, the dog was sedated and then kept on the preparation table and induced with, first diazepam was given slowly IV, and then propofol was given slow IV. So while giving propofol, we have to always keep on mind that this propofol causes a minute of apnea. So always while giving propofol, make sure that you are giving very slowly, and then keeping an eye on respiration. If in case the dog is not breathing, like after 30 seconds or 40 seconds of propofol, then you have to stimulate the dog to breathe by pulling the tongue, pinching the nose. But in case of this dog, there was no such complication. And then after induction, we intubated the dog. Immediately after induction, we intubated the dog. Since it was a Labrador, so there will be always risk of breathing in case of breathing a problem in case of Labrador. So we always intubate as soon as we do induction of anesthesia. And then after we gave pre-op analgesics as meloxicam, lignocaine, tramadol. So you can note like how much medicines we are including just to provide analgesia, so that there is like less pain. And pre-op antibiotic was used as amoxicillin potentiated with cloxacillin at the rate of 20 mg per kg IV. And then the dog was kept inside surgery table, and the urinary catheter was placed aseptically inside the bladder through the urethra, through the vagina. Okay, and the dog was maintained with propofol at the rate 1 mg per kg slow IV. So the dog was requiring propofol every 8 minutes. Positioning of animal was dorsal recumbency with all four limbs tied on the table. So, and aseptic preparation of surgical site from umbilicus to cranial brim of pelvis was done with 2% chlorhexidine and 70% isopropyl alcohol. So, umbilicus देखिए cranial brim of pelvis सम्म चाहिँ पुरै सेभ गरेको थियो, पुरै कपाल जहाँ जति पनि हेर्छ त्यो सबै क्लिप गरेर अनि त्यसपछि 2% क्लोरेक्सिटिनले चाहिँ पुरै स्क्रब गरेको थियो. सो इनवर्ड टु आउटवर्ड प्याटर्नमा स्क्रब गरिएको थियो र त्यसपछि 70% आइसोप्रोपाइल अल्कोहल चाहिँ स्प्रे गरिएको थियो. ओके, so this cystotomy is basically an open approach via midline celiotomy. So step 1, incision was made on midline from 2 centimeter below the umbilicus to 0.5 centimeter cranial to pelvic brim. Okay, after opening only, we just express the bladder through so all the urine passed through catheter. So there was like, if we express bladder at that time, so there is no chances of spillage of urine in the abdomen and less chances of infection. त्यसपछि ब्ल्याडरलाई बाहिर निकाल्यो and we packed it up with lots of moist gauze and after that I aspirated the red color urine aseptically so that we can send for further examination. And step 3, the bladder was thickened and inflamed. A stab incision was made on less vascular area around the ventral midline and entered in the lumen, as well as incision was extended. So bladder, urinary bladder को wall चाहिँ एकदम thick थियो. I will show the picture later on. एकदमै thick थियो. So मलाई stab incision गर्न पनि एकदमै हुन्छ नि, त्यो bladder त generally एकदमै thin हुनुपर्ने, तर त्यो एकदमै thick थियो. त्यो stab incision गर्दाखेरि पनि I was feeling like that I was stabbing inside the muscular area, some muscle area. See, you can see clearly. So normal bladder is on right side of my screen. Right side picture is a normal bladder with prostate gland, urinary bladder. So this should be like very thin wall because it has to expand. But in that area, you can see how much inflamed the bladder is. Look at the vasculature of bladder. All the blood vessels are there. Like there is some neovascularization. Lot of blood vessels and thickened wall. Lumen was exposed and the big calculi was found quickly and removed. So यदि त्यहाँनिर सानो सानो स्टोन भएको भए चाहिँ स्कुप इन गरेर निकाल्नु पर्छ, तर त्यो एउटा मात्र स्टोन र एकदमै ठुलो भएको भएर चाहिँ एकदमै इजिली र चाँडै नै बाहिर निस्क्यो. त्यसपछि what we did is we sutured with monofilament PDS C0 in Cushing pattern, including serosa, muscularis, and submucosa, but we avoided mucosa because if we include mucosa, then there will be chances of narrowing or there will be chances of infection because there is always constant contact of urine with mucosa. And the incision is opposed in inverted fashion and past the leakage stage. So what I did was 10 ml syringe ma just normal saline लिएर एउटा साइडबाट आफ्टर क्लोजिङ द ब्ल्याडर एउटा साइडबाट चाहिँ मैले प्रेस गरेँ. ओके, त्यो नर्मल सलाइन चाहिँ हालेँ, तर त्यो के भयो भन्दाखेरि बाहिर प्रेस गर्दाखेरि पनि भित्र जब सलाइन गइसक्यो त्यसपछि प्रेस गर्दाखेरि पनि त्यो suture गरेको ठाउँबाट चाहिँ लिकेज भएन. द्याट मिन्स इट पास द लिकेज टेस्ट. सो वी डोन्ट निड टु पुट लट अफ अदर लाइक वी डोन्ट निड टु पुट अदर लेयर अफ सुचर. सो जेनरली के गर्छन् भन्दाखेरि 3 लेयर गर्छन् मान्छेहरूले. ओके, अरू डक्टरहरूले लाइक फर्स्टमा सिम्पल कन्टिन्युस, अनि त्यसपछि त्यो माथि चाहिँ कुसिङ लेयर, यदि अझै चाहियो भने चाहिँ त्यो माथि लेम्बर्ट लेयर पनि गर्न सक्छन्. But since this was a very inflamed urinary bladder, we did only 1 layer of Cushing pad and it was sufficient. And then after we lavaged the abdomen wholeheartedly with lukewarm anise. Ekdamai there, like almost 1.5 liter of normal saline was used to lavage the abdomen, and we closed the muzzle with PGA 10 size in a simple continuous pattern, and skin was closed with intradermal. So the dog recovered from anesthesia after 10 minutes. So I have a very small video clip. Yes, just keep an eye. So we are clamping the mucosa also there. Okay, that was a stone. You can see how big the stone is. It's a 3 centimeter big, and it has like two parts. So this yellow color part could be our needles, where all these white color minerals came and deposited. You can see the inverted pattern of suture, and then we close the muscle and skin. So post-operative care included post-op analgesia with Melox, but at the rate of 0.1 mg per kg once a day for 3 days, and tramadol at the rate of 4 mg per kg twice a day for 5 days. Both of them were for oral. And post-op antibiotic, we asked them to continue for 7 more days. Amoxiclav itself. And diet, we suggested them to keep on boiled plain chicken rice with mashed carrot or pumpkin or broccoli. And follow-up were made on third day and 10th day. So on third day there was no hematuria and intradermals were intact and serum biochemistry profile. Everything was within normal limits, and urine analysis revealed normal pH and negative for leukocytes. And follow-up on 10th day revealed completely happy dog with healed incision site and normal maturation. So we had suggested them to provide like full rest, do not let the dog lick the wound and all those things we had suggested them. So urolithiasis refers to stones located anywhere within the urinary tract. Urolith can develop in the kidney, ureter, bladder, or urethra and are referred as nephrolith, ureterolith, urethrolyth, respectively. So this case had urocystolith because the stone was inside bladder. And you can see in the picture that there are like varieties of stones. One is calcium oxalate. So for this calcium oxalate, basically it requires acidic pH of the urine. And then other one is canine compound urolith. Other one is calcium carbonate, urate, silica, cysteine, struvite. So the cystic calculi extracted was struvite. The cystic calculi extracted was struvite, confirmed by stone analysis. We had sent for the stone analysis also, and the result came after around 15 days, and it was struvite, and nothing else was clearly known by this analysis. And so struvite is a magnesium, ammonium, and phosphate combined with bacterial infection. So there are urease producing bacteria in lower urinary tract, and that can sometimes infect the bladder. So they break down the urea into ammonia and carbonate, and then ammonia combines with magnesium and phosphate to form struvite, while biocarbonate increases the pH of urine. So in alkaline urine, the struvite cannot be dissolved, and the deposition results in cystic calculi. So there is a lot of bacteria producing lot of lot of ammonia and bicarbonate. So the process goes on, and then the minerals gets on deposited, resulting in a big cystic calculi. So in case of other dogs, there could be like small, but lot of struvites also. This is a breed predisposition for struvite stones. The first one is Sizu, okay. Second one is miniature Tahan, and third one is Dachshund, and fourth one is the most common breed Labrador Retriever. So another thing important consideration we have to keep in mind is this urinary bladder heals quickly, achieving 100% of strength in 3 weeks. The opposition of like layers result in a rapid gain in wound strength and does not reduce lumen size provided that mucosa is excluded. And the monofilament suture material reduces the rate of infection as it does not absorb moisture like braided multifilament. So these things are very important to keep in mind while doing the uh, cystotomy. Conclusion: the dog recovered well with appropriate diagnosis. With the help of all diagnostic testings and surgical interventions, there would be always the risk of recurrence of strobite stone, which can be taken care of with renal care diet. So we had suggested them to use renal care nutrition diet. Okay, that we had suggested them, so they are using that only now. So also it is always important to consider the lowest tier of antibiotics in the beginning, like mm, amoxicillin is the one of the lowest tier antibiotic. Like we can use it, and if not, the dog is responding, animal is not responding on that, then we can go for the other antibiotics like cephalosporins or fluoroquinolones. But it's always better to consider about antibiotic sensitivity test. We had asked them to do urine culture plus antibiotic sensitivity test, but unfortunately because of this corona COVID lockdown, it could not happen. Anyways, the infection subsided with amoxicillin itself, so everything was fine. These are my references, and I am very thankful to Dr. Stacy who assisted me in the surgery, and Dr. Anaita who helped me during the all these diagnostic procedures, and entire WBS India vet assistants, and my dear juniors, vets, everybody. Thank you so much.
Can we incorporate dexmedetomidine instead of propofol?
Okay.
Didi?
Yeah. Okay, so first thing is dexmedetomidine can be used in place of xylazine, but not in place of propofol. We are inducing and maintaining the propofol. Okay, dexmed and propofol are like two different drugs. Dexmed belongs to the category of xylazine, where propofol is injectable anesthesia, maintenance, and induction. So in at our place, like in WBS, we are basically using dexmedetomidine in place of xylazine for the cats, because cats are very, cats react to xylazine in a very different way, and it's very difficult for them to recover from the effect of xylazine. So I would say no.
How was stone analysis done? Is there any lab test or only can be done based on morphology?
So stone analysis, we didn't do the stone analysis. We dispatched the stone. Okay. So we didn't do the stone analysis over here. We dispatched the stone to lab. Also, on the basis of morphology and appearance of the stone, we were able to say it is a struvite stone. But just to confirm, we dispatched to the lab. So
Can you please explain about renal care diet suggested?
yeah, so there are a lot of renal care diets. So basically, we follow uh, Hill's Pet Nutrition. Okay, you can go to the website of the Hill's Pet Nutrition, and they will present you like variety of renal care diets. One of the diet is diet is for kidney on itself, and some of the diet is to dissolve the stones in the bladder. But these diets, so whenever we are using these diets for the dogs, then we'll have to use only these diets, not other diets. So also for those owners, when they got this diet, we suggested them to stop other diets and only incorporate this diet. That thing is important. And these renal care diets, you can find, you can just search in the internet, you will get it. Just keep in mind that whenever you are using the diet for a dog, this diet for a dog, then just use this diet only. Do not use other diet. And you have to keep monitoring every 3 months to 6 months, and you have to take radiograph if there is like the size of the stone is reducing or not, like that, and if the stone is there or not, you have to keep monitoring.
Can you please explain the mechanism how
Hmm.
urolithiasis lead to hematuria?
Yes, yes. So this urolith was there, struvite was there because of the infection also. Okay, this urease producing bacteria in the urinary bladder broken down the urea into ammonia and bicarbonate, and that's how this stone formed. And meanwhile the body will not stay silent. When there are bacteria, there will be some inflammation going on. Also this stone was very big, and it was, you know how soft mucosa are. If there is any foreign material, then they will start bleeding. Because of the presence of the stone, there was bleeding from the bladder, just that. So as soon as we remove the bladder, the hematuria stopped. If it was related to any other blood parasite, then it wouldn't stop.
Is urolithiasis probability affected by gender, and what is the chance in intact dog? Which one is more prone to urolithiasis?
Yes, yes, urolithiasis is probability is affected by gender. So in case of female dogs, this struvite stones are more common as compared to male dogs. So in case of male dogs, this calcium oxalate stones are more common. And in case of intact dogs, this I cannot say exactly, because we have seen in both category of animals, uh, they are having urolith. It just depends on the diet of the animal.
What
Yeah.
might be the reason of increase in serum ALT content?
Serum ALT. So see, this some concentration of ALT in the heart and kidney are a quarter and tenth of the liver. So whatever amount liver is producing, 4/10 of the amount is produced by kidney also. So it could be possible because there is bladder inflammation, and it will obviously affect the kidney also. Little bit it will affect the kidney, though it could not affect chronically. It will affect the kidney, and that could be the reason that there is some kind of increase in ALT. Because we did ultrasound of abdomen, and in ultrasonography also we could not appreciate any liver damage. So yeah.
Do urolithiasis leads only to hematuria or anything else?
So it depends on the urolith. It can lead to hematuria. It can lead to straining while micturition, and also it can lead to anuria. Like, some animals will not urinate, not micturate at all. Okay.
Okay, thank you everyone for staying to the end of the session. Especially huge thanks to Dr. Ranjita Bastola for her presentation and valuable time. We hope this insightful presentation was informative and helpful to all our participants. Betsa will definitely come with such webinar in the coming future. So please keep yourself updated with our Facebook and Instagram page. With that, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay alert. Thank you.